Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, April 20th edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me, my co-host, Dennis Brown and Garrett Punchy Dill, as well as our two guests for this evening, Donovan Livingston and Kyle Lightbourne. Look, you guys, we're going to go back to some stuff tonight, man, that is going to keep you on your toes. Punchy, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
You know what? We're going to let you start tonight.
Hey, gentlemen, it's good. Hey, Blocker, how are you, sir? And Kyle, a pleasure to have you both back. Kyle, thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. Blocker, I'm going to start with you first of all. When I first saw you play, I was like, whoa, where's this guy from? And then everybody was saying he was from Jamaica and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, this guy can really play. So anyway, when they finally, could you give us a little, let me get past it. Could you give us a little journey, your footballing journey, where you started football in Jamaica? And also, there's another question I want to ask you. The standard when you first came to Bermuda, what did you think about our standards compared to Jamaica?
Well, first of all, just thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I just want to say, in Jamaica, I started my football from Trenchtown, a place called Trenchtown, where I used to live. Then I moved on to Western Kingston, to Tivoli, Boys Town, and all these places in Trenchtown as a youngster. Developed my football at Tivoli Garden Comprehensive High School, and move on to play for my Manny Cup side, all morning all onto Jamaica, on the 19, and eventually break it to the national team in 1977.
Okay, and the thing about it is when you first came to Bermuda, in terms of, I know you broke the national teams. What did you feel the standard compared to Jamaica, compared to when you came to Bermuda? What did you feel about it?
To be honest with you, I think the standard was very good. The first game I ever seen is when I came here was the cup final at National Stadium, North Village, and I think it's Somerset, North Village. I don't remember the cup final, but it was very impressive. And to be honest, the player that stand out that day was a brethren called Andrew Bascom. I think he was so impressive. This league of players, right?
Right.
Yes, and I was very impressed. The standard was on par.
Okay.
By the way, Somerset beat them 2-0 too. See,
yeah,
got that, Jim.
I had to get that.
Thanks for that.
Thank you, Coach.
Now, Kyle, you made a comment to me sometime earlier that you were the one who actually put Blocker in retirement. How did I do about it?
Yeah, I had to send him on his way. But playing against Donovan, obviously I was a lot younger than him, but he was one that I respected. Yeah, when I first played against him, I think you were playing for Somerset.
Yep.
And you and Dennis Brown, I had two of you that I had to deal with, and but I had my good mate Sammy Swan that I used to send on you. They say, Sammy, you deal with the short and I'll go long. His legs were a little going down, so I was able to run away from him.
Dennis?
Yes, good night, guys. Nice to have you guys on the show. Fellow Warwick Sac alumni, the greatest high school in Bermuda history.
Oh yeah,
To Kill, I call him Killer. When did you, or how did you first get into football as a young player? And I'm guessing you started at PHC. And where did it all begin for you?
Yeah, it all began. Well, I had cousins that I was brought up with, Sinclair, Edward, and Johnny Lightbourne from City Hill. I lived with my grandmother, the late Cynthia Lightbourne played for PHC. He's
Mhm.
actually Sion Darrell's father, who plays for Dannytown.
Mm.
And I came up under those guys. And if I wanted to go to a game, I had to clean their boots. I had to do all of that stuff for them. That's the way I was brought up. Clean the car, clean the bike, clean the boots. And then I was able to go, they would take me to a match with them. And, I from out of my window, I was able to see PHC, the lights come on, training. If it was a game down there, whenever, and I would just end up at the field. And, but my early days, I was going to church. So with my grandmother on Saturday mornings. And so I didn't get to play mini minors. I started appearing like bantams because church was finished then, and and I just played in the school, and I think Mr. Rattery was the coach there. Alroy Rattery was involved with PHC, and I think he arranged a couple night games just so I could play, and that's how I really got started.
Okay.
Yeah, Punchy.
Hey, Carl, I want to ask you a question because you're right too. I don't ever remember watching you playing too much junior football. I can't remember because I'm great friends with your uncle, and he did speak about you earlier. Yeah, what's my nephew? Watch it. So we would go up, and then when I first started seeing you playing, I said, "Wow, look at the speed of this guy." And I think that's when left-footers start really becoming like this guy's left-footed, could pass, but the speed that you played with, and plus there's brilliant goals you used to score too. And but let me ask you a question. Playing alongside Semi, and I think you played with Kenny Burke too, who I still rate so high. And then there was also Frankie Ming in the midfield. I'm sure of that. What was it like with that team, playing with those guys, especially Kenny Burke? You don't hear much about him. It's not much said about him, but what a player!
I mean, actually, myself personally, I never got to go on the pitch with Kenny Burke.
Oh,
I was a player for PHC, but I had to sit the bench. Kenny Burke was the first name on the team sheet. And,
Yep.
I mean, he was such a brilliant player that
right.
Unbelievable player. He was definitely one that was. He had the ability to play professional football anywhere around the world. People that got the opportunity to see him play, they were treated. I mean, because he lived up to his name, Ninja Burke, and he was just a visit. And Sammy Swan, he really took care of me. He's the one that helped me develop as a player. We built a relationship. So I really took over from when Kenny Burke left PHC, and he went to I can't remember when he first left. I'm not sure if he went Hotels or Boulevard or somewhere. He left PHC. He was at Rangers as well, but I think he left PHC to go either Hotels or Boulevard.
Yeah, good. And hey, Blocker.
Yes.
I know when you first came, you said you played the Somerset. You played alongside Dennis, did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I played against the Maestro. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So when you two played together, I'm assuming that Dennis played in front of you. Am I correct?
Yes. Because
Yeah. And you were the sweeper, right?
he played like a defensive midfield.
Oh, Dennis played defensive midfield. Okay. And
You finally got to go up.
Yeah. So your leadership qualities, I always know you always had them. When I first saw it, because you're always pointing and hey, over there. So what was it like with what did you think of Dennis?
Oh, Dennis.
Yeah.
Hey, Dennis is a maestro.
Yes.
Hey, whenever I'm beside Dennis on a Sunday, the game comes so easy. I know that I have a man beside me just as the ability just as me, so I don't have to worry about anything. I just play the game.
Okay. Yeah, great. I wish you. Wow. I wish you would have been had Bermuda status. I would have picked you for the national team. We could use you now. I always said, I told you before, wow, you know, you should have came earlier. I would have got you in the national team, man.
Not a
I can tell
status.
you right now, what Kyle would love to have you now, and Dennis, of course.
Oh, for real.
Yes, but Blocker, again, some memorable games because you did leave Somerset and then you went to Vesco. Am I correct?
No, I was at Vasco first.
You was at Vesco first. Okay, I'm sure you played alongside Gumbo Bean, didn't you?
No, I just missed Gumbo.
You just missed Gumbo. I'm missing. Okay, so you were with Vesco first, then you went to Somerset.
Yes,
right?
yes.
What made you go to Vesco? What in time?
Well, I was new on the island. I was relatively new, just played for hotels for one season. And then I see these guys talking to the person that brought me here was Robert Hines. And I saw them talking to Robert Hines, and Robert Hines told me that those guys want to come. I don't know who they are or anything. I said, well, Robert, I'm coming here to stay with you. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. I just want to play. Just want to play the game. And the following season, I was at Vasco.
Oh, okay.
I'm contacting Jumping Jack tonight.
Yeah, we need to. We need to.
He was my agent.
hey, Kyle, I'm gonna ask you another question. The atmosphere at PHC at the times when you were playing, like the atmosphere used to be, I'm sure it's not like that no more, because I remember the atmosphere coming into those gates up at PHC, especially night games. And what an atmosphere, especially when you guys were at the top of your game. What was it? What really was it like for you? Tell me to get prepared for those games. That atmosphere was, yes.
You had to be at your best. For me as a young player, from sitting on the side and watching it develop, it was, you couldn't get to the game late and get a good spot. PHC back then had those bleachers right behind where the players would sit, and they would be packed. And even around the field, you couldn't get up to the fence if you came like a half an hour before the match. It was already people there waiting for the match to start, and all the fans were mixing together. Like if we were playing against North Village, they would be on the opposite side of the field. Like every team that we played against, they had their fans and where they would gather, and it was a great atmosphere. Back then, we get 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people come to the game, easy. I look at some of the older photos, and you just, wow, look at the crowd back then.
Yes.
Dennis?
Yeah, and I would say, to Donovan and Kyle, for us to kill our boat playing against PHC, man, that was, you had to get your rest on a Saturday night to play against PHC on the Sunday. You knew that you're playing against Kevin, Kenny, Sammy, Frank, Buller, Rango, who was a little dirty, little thing. And then you had Mike, Nails, Ed Lipon. They had, and one season, I think it was the season we won the league in 1988, I believe. And when Larry Smith came to Somerset, he said the only way we're going to beat PHC is if we're fitter than PHC. And that preseason, that was probably one of my fittest seasons, although I always, like to be fit. But that season there, Larry had us at Horseshoe Beach from January the 1st for a whole month, no football, just running, getting ready for PHC, and it paid off that year, because if you weren't prepared for PHC, they'll run you to the ground. And then when I saw this young guy come on the field up Somerset, man, and I'm saying, dude, this is, I can't say what I said right here, but like Kyle scored a goal, man. Then goes like from outside the box, and the ball went across, and I'll usually have the nerve to put my hair to the ball, but not this one here. Kyle shot this thing up Somerset. unbelievable. And I knew, from there that this guy had a good future ahead of him, and then Donovan. I mean, when I first saw him come to Bermuda, I said, who the hell, like Punchy, like who the hell is this here? Like, yeah, I found out, it's Jamaican and stuff like that. And, it was a pleasure to play against him. And then we combined, I think it was for like 2 seasons in Somerset. And then the first season we came together. We ended up winning the Mortimer and the FA Cup. I think that's the last time Somerset won the FA Cup in 1990. Both times we played against Dundee Town and we beat them 2-0 in the Mortimer and 2-0 at National Stadium, and they reopened up the stadium. But it was a pleasure to play with Donovan because, like he said, I didn't really have to. I mean, we didn't play a sweeper, we didn't play a marker, we played sides. The guy comes on my side, I mark. The guy comes on Donovan's side, he marks, and it was just a good partnership, and it was a pleasure to play with him. And so I'm a little pissed off at Robert Hines right now because Robert Hines stayed up Somerset. So I'm a little pissed off. I'm gonna write him tonight when I get home. So
I'm sending him a message immediately finishing the show.
Thank you. But it was a pleasure playing with Donovan because the guy has so much football intelligence, man. It's unbelievable. Like you said, it's too bad that we couldn't get him to play for Bermuda because he would have been an asset player for Bermuda, big time.
Yeah. Donovan, let me ask you, who were some of the players in your first 2 seasons that stood out, whether playing with you or playing against you? I know you mentioned Andrew, but who else? Who was those other players?
Oh man, you got a whole lot of players. Dennis, Lorenzo, even bigger Richardson.
Yep.
You have one of the quickest footballer ever played against in my entire career. A little striker from North Village. What's his name? Help me, Punchy.
Charlie Emery?
Charlie Emery.
Charlie, no. He died in a boat crash.
Yeah, Charlie Emery.
Charlie Emery. Yes.
Hey, I'm telling you, Charlie was some guy, but hey, we talk about marking Charlie. You gotta leave Charlie alone. You can't mark Charlie man for man. He make you look very bad. So I gotta give him all the space and say, okay, Charlie, pass me now. I couldn't mark him close. I just knocked the ball behind me, and it's 9-8. Can't catch him. Too quick. No, some very, very good players. Very good players.
Yeah. Kyle, let me ask you, when you were coming along, I know you mentioned a lot of the PHC guys, but who were some of the other players in other teams that you kind of had to respect and admired as you were coming along?
Yeah, the teams back then.
All those guys.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Good player. Very good players.
It's just having internet problems, so.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, the teams back then, obviously, back then, PHC and Somerset, we had some serious rivalries then. Definitely North Village, Devonshire Colts. It was so many teams, Dundee Town, Hotels, but players like Dennis and Livingston both were very good in the air. And even for short, Tordy Durham from Dundee Town, Paul Tolson, but one of my favorite players outside of was George Brangman. I watched him play. He was so neat. He used to have the little tassels on the side of his socks. And, he was a midfielder that, immaculate, get around the park. And I was always impressed with the way Somerset played and North Village because, my uncle played for him, David Schrader. That a lot of people don't know that's my uncle, my mama's brother. And I always said to people, if I played for North Village, then they would have definitely had us down for cheating. You know? I had to balance it out. I think I moved up to work.
Yeah, you look good in red and white, Carl. That's what me and Dave, your uncle, you say. I think he'll look good in red and white. You look good in red.
Well, he played with him once he retired. He went back and played with him, so you're all right.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did. I got you. You did look good. Yes, you did. Hey, but Donovan, let me ask you a question, Donovan, because you know I'm going this question anyway, because you and I talk about a lot. When you international football for Jamaica, I want you to describe to us about some of the players. One of the best players I ever seen. Maybe these guys have his name was Alan Skill Cook.
Yeah.
Tell me, because let me tell you the story when Jamaica came here, the national team came here, and it was all Devon Chirac. I think they was playing the club team there, and I remember the whole team came out first, and the stadium, Devon Chirac was packed. A lot of people from Jamaica were there. I was like, what? So they started singing this song, the King's coming. Then this man comes down the steps. I said, this tall, lengthy guy could play. This guy don't look like he could play. He never even looked like a socks or dot. So anyway, what I saw, what I witnessed was something else. So tell me, Blocker, what was it like? What was he really like, man? Huh?
Alan Cole was a gifted footballer. Real gifted footballer. He used to play for a school in Jamaica named Vere. At the age of about 25, he get a contract to play for Náutico in Brazil. He was in Brazil for a couple of years. Then he went on. He came back to Jamaica, played for Boys Town, then go on and play for Santos. And there's where I come in with Alan, because I was playing for Santos U team at the time. And the national coach used to be Jackie Bell, who is the deceased now, God bless his soul. He used to mix up the young boys with the senior team. And so I get to rub shoulder with Alan, you know, and as a little boy, I used to get right in, excited, you know. I'm all up skill call today, and very nice, very nice. It just was so amazing playing with Alan, just practicing with him. It's so amazing. So we go on to play for the national team. And I remember one of Alan's most excited time I ever see. Here is Alan in the middle of the midfield, playing against one of the greatest footballer ever lived, Edison Duranto de Nascimento, Pele. And Alan, a ball go up in here, Alan, like him, shake him shoulder, like him going to knock it. And when he knock it, the whole team, everybody started to go this way. Alan just catch the ball in his left foot and stop it. And start the ball, and nobody got to him. He stand right up. Nobody. The whole stadium, you're right down, man. I'm telling you. But Alan was so good as a player. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm watching football all my life. Alan is one of the greatest footballers I ever known. When Pele came back to Jamaica, and Pele would play against Santos. So he came back with Santos to Jamaica. When the game finished, the Brazilian contingent include Pele. So we cannot leave this man in Jamaica. Alan leave with them back to Brazil.
Whoa.
Pele went and said, listen, sign this man again, sign this man. Nothing was asked. And you know, he went to Brazil, stayed there for a couple of years, and he lived there and went to Ethiopia. He went to Ethiopia as a national coach in Ethiopia for a couple of years, and he came back to Jamaica, just walked back into the national team out of all these years. And one of the highlights of my career with Alan, just before I came to Bermuda, we played a game against Corinthians from Brazil. And Alan was, at that time, Alan was my roommate for that match. Me and Alan was sharing same room. So, you know, I was, you know, hey, him sit down and talk to me, tell me, you know, show me all what I have to do. You know, just play it, be yourself, just relax, you know. We're gonna beat up the man. Same Carol, we're gonna beat the man up. No way I say we're gonna kill them. So that on that night, a matter of fact, on that night, the coach did not start me. For some reason, he didn't start me. The whole stadium was making off. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you how things happen. Bobby Hazel, Bobby Hazel, Cyril Regis, and Gary Thompson played that game. Bobby Hazel was injured, but no one did know. The first 5 minutes of the game, he have to come off the field. The spectator in the stand make the change.
Whoa.
Couldn't move. As some spectators say, Blacker Livingston, warm up. The coach looked down and said, Livy, warm up. So I'm showing you how things are back then in Jamaica.
Mm.
Hey, we did beat Corinthians 2-1. Socrates and I have a little running together, you know, because I couldn't afford Socrates to come to Jamaica and show me up right in front of my fans. Yeah, man. So we won the game 2-1, and that was a very memorable game in my career, playing with skill, winning and everything. You see what I'm saying? So it was good. Alan Cole is something else, as you know, Punchy, as you know.
Thank you very much for that memory. Thank you very much. I do remember him quite well. But Kyle, let me ask you a question, Kyle. One of the international games, one of the games you ever played in internationally for Bermuda, which one that comes to mind that you really, the person you played against, or just how you enjoyed the game? Which one did you feel that comes to mind first of all?
Well, for me, it was the El Salvador game, for how the team performed on the day, and for myself actually scoring the winning goal. I don't think I've ever topped that goal in my whole career. You know, just the whole emotions, everything that ran with it. And a game that Dennis Brown was talking about, our game in Haiti, when we played against Haiti in Haiti. Wow, what an atmosphere. You know, it was unbelievable. You know, unbelievable. We lost the game 2-1, but what we had to go through, you know, turning up in Haiti, just the whole thing was like a whole different culture shock for us. The way we're used to living, Bermudians are spoiled, and to go to Haiti, a place that is a third world country, you know, the streets weren't paved, everything, and to come away for us to qualify for the next stage of the World Cup was amazing. That whole get together for us then was amazing.
Dennis?
Yeah, to really reiterate what Kyle said, like that was probably one of the hardest games of my life. You know, I didn't start the match. I ended up coming on for Snake midway in the first half, and you know, we had to hang on for dear life. You know, we knew that, you know, if we hung on at 1-1, you know, we'll go through to the next round, and we basically defended with our lives. I think we only had like 1 or 2 chances in the whole game and defended for like 89 plus minutes. You know what I mean? And you know, that's an atmosphere that I'll never ever forget. So to Carl, before we go to your professional exploits, just tell us what was it like to finally break into the PHC team with Sammy, Kevin, Kenny, and all these guys. Well, you said Kenny had left. So what was it like to finally break into the PHC team?
Yeah, well, for me, the coaching staff, Nibs Lewis and Alfie Eve, they made me work hard in order to get my opportunity. You know, I like I said, at 16, I think it was other guys around my age that were playing first division football already. So when I think guys that were younger than me, like Dean Martis, Clay Smith, Sean Goder, these guys were already playing for their clubs, and I was sitting on the bench, and I couldn't say anything to Neebs why I'm not playing. So that was good schooling for me. So I have really two memories that helped myself as a player grow up. We played against Somerset, first game of the season of Somerset. Now PHC is the defending champions of the league. And we lose to Somerset 5-1. That's the year Kenny Bartlaff, I think.
Let me correct you. It was 5-0.
No, Dennis. It was 5-1.
5-0. I'll get you the clip.
5-1 because I scored. I remember that.
I can't remember that.
I ain't gonna forget that because I know I scored.
Okay.
But anyway, this is what spurred us on. You know, we had a guard. It was Coach Bum LaBelle walked through our changing room with a towel on, got a shower in our changing room and said, "Don't worry, PAC, more licks are coming." You know, and we guys actually got together after they said, "No, but we can't take licks like this." You know, and like you said, we got a lot of supporters at that game. You know,
yeah.
And that was the only league game that we lost that season, 5-1. That was my first experience of saying, no, we're in the big time. We can't afford to be losing like this. This is PAC. You know, on the day Somerset, you know, they were way better than us. And the second one was playing against Daventry Colts, and Daventry Colts had a lot of experienced players back then. And the one player that everyone knows, he was like real dirty player, and that was Cho Smith.
Yep.
You know, and at that time, Somerset, you guys would have had Lance Brown. You know,
Yep.
Still, you know, he was a tower in midfield and shot everyone down. But playing against Daventry Colts, this when they had their home games down St. David's, and I see Norb's putting up 5.
Thank you, Big Toe. Thank you, Big Toe.
All these Somerset people's got convenient memories, mate.
Together, mate. We stick together.
Hey, that got a bad memory. I gotta go to the papers to say.
Oh, I got my scrapbook, sir, mate.
Hey, that must have been a different game, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Your girl was disallowed.
That's it.
Hey, well, anyway, Joe Smith, we played against Colts down St. David's. And, you know, I was young, like Dennis said, coming on the scene, and we were 2-0 up. PHC was 2-0 up in 10 minutes. Lightburn scored both goals. So Joe Smith took it upon himself to take me out of the game. You know, he was a throw-in. The ball came to me about 15, 20 minutes into the game, and he gave me a Charlie horse, like right in my back. It was like, oh, man. Couldn't move. I was no more good for the game. He took me out. But the thing that happened next, my strike partner, Sammy Swan, who he saw the whole incident. And, you know, back then, guys took care of themselves and they protected their teammates. 2 minutes later, Joe Smith's hurling his face. Because Sam has punched him full in his face. Hey,
that's heavy.
He didn't get sent off for it. But the thing about it afterwards, Joe Smith says, we're even. I'm out of the game, and I'm out of the game. You know, but back then, that's the way football, that's
how it was, man.
Brought up. And I'm glad I was brought up like that because after the game, people shook hands.
Yep.
You know, you go have a drink afterwards, and that's the way football was back then. Yeah. And that was like an eye opener. You know, I'm 16, 17 back then, and wow, you know.
Yeah,
Here's somebody remembering that game.
Yeah.
What year you said it was, Dennis?
I can't remember the year, but the year after PAC had won the league, they played us in the first game.
Okay.
Up Somerset, we beat them
Norbert saying that
5-0.
he's because Randy Simmons blocked just shot on the line, Kyle. That's why we're in 2-1. It was just before the half.
Thank you, Big Toe. Thank you.
Hey, hey,
But go
hey,
ahead.
Donovan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Earl. Go ahead. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
go ahead.
Hey, Donovan, the true attributes of a good center half. I know. Well, tell me what they are. Because I think you and Dennis, I'm not pushing it, but you and Dennis both have them.
Speaking from my experience now, as a center half, you have to can read the game. That's foremost. You have to can read the game, and you have to can direct your players them in the right position.
Sorry.
I think I'm muted.
Good. Good,
I
Park.
think, let me just, something's happened to my show. Hang on, guys.
Make her
Okay. Yeah. Blanca, let me ask. You talked about later in your career you played with Dennis, but who were some of the players you played with center half wise that really you had that same relationship that you had with Dennis when you was playing?
Oh man, I can start from Paul Pierce. I don't know if you remember Paul Pierce.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Paul Pierce. Ian Morrison is a police guy, very tall police guy.
Mhm.
Yep.
I play with Paul Towson, who is excellent defender,
Yep.
very very firm, very hard, and coming down, wind down my career. I play with the most excellent Mr. Brown, as you know, with a little youngster come from, he came from North Village, them Kenton Jennings.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
Right.
Hard, solid, good player in football. Good player. Yeah, so those are some of the defenders that I play with coming through here in Bermuda, which I would never even think about playing with anyone else.
Mm.
Make my
Okay,
own.
Punchy.
Remember life.
Punchy, go ahead. Yeah,
No,
Punchy.
I'll say, Kyle, I'm gonna maybe fast forward a little bit. Can you, because I don't remember, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. I don't remember when actually you left the country to go overseas. What happened? Can you give us a little rundown on how this came about and where did you first end up at?
He got knocked off the cut match field of Somerset, so he had to leave.
Anyway.
Oh,
Anyway. Anyway.
yeah. I'm gonna get back to that cricket thing because I'm gonna ask Donovan some question about that cricket, that quarter you're on quarter. So Kyle, just run us through a little bit on terms of what happened, how you were scouted, and because maybe it's a lot of people that don't actually know what actually happened and how did you manage to get over to England?
Well, for me, PHC ran on a preseason tour to England. I left cup match in St. George's, ended in a draw, Earl. You guys were sitting on your back.
Again.
And that's when the flights used to leave at 12 o'clock to go to England. This was like 88 or 89, something like that. And I went from cup match that day on the Friday, and then we traveled to England with PHC had left the day before. I think they left on the Thursday. And I came up the next day with my great coach, Neebs Lewis, and we went on a European tour. So PHC back then used to go on a lot of tours. So we played against Hull City, Scarborough, and one other team, York City. And I think Scarborough was the team that I done quite well against personally in that match. I actually missed our first game and I played the last two games. And I think Mark Trott wrote a letter back to Scarborough about myself. And they invited me back like a whole year later. And myself and Albie Smith, this is when the national team was doing really well. We went to Scarborough on trial. I think Neil Painter and Philip Clark went to Coventry City, and Streaker, Adams, and Sean Smith went to Crew Alexandra. So that was like 6 players from the national team getting opportunities to go overseas and get an opportunity. And Scarborough invited me back, you know, for initially a 6-month contract. So after we played against Canada in our World Cup qualifiers, I left the next day to go back to England, which was in December, to start my professional career. And I was at Scarborough for 6 months, and I moved on to Walsall the following season. So that's how it really started for me. I myself personally, I wasn't really looking for it at the time, but that's how it happened for me. The opportunity came, and I was able to take it. I mean, it was a big difference between amateur football and professional football, and I owe a lot to a guy named Brendan Ormsby, who was at that time he was at Scarborough finishing off his career, and he saw something in me that a lot of the other players didn't have, and he pulled me aside and said, "Look, the things," and told me the things that I need to work on. If I work on these things, you would have a better career. You know, he said a lot of these guys don't have what you have, and that's the ability to shoot, your pace, good in the air. You know, so like at lower leagues, you find that you get someone, they either have pace but no ball control, good in the air, no ball control. So I had the full thing. The things I had to work on was the strength of holding the ball up. You know, just for the physical side of the game that the English game was bringing back then. Before, you could tackle from 10 feet from behind, jumping in the air sideways at players, and the referee would say play on. So that was a different way of playing. Now you can't touch a player. So you had to be stronger. Your mental strength had to be a lot stronger than what it is now for players. So that's how it all started for me. And I just went from strength to strength as a player. And I really think for me being over there, the reason for me being over there wasn't really for me to play. It's probably for me, more for me to pass it on for the next generations that are coming through. And I'm a big believer of that, even though I enjoyed my time as a player, but I'll have more time. You know, I spent more time as a coach than as a player. And I've enjoyed that side of the game. And, you know, for ourselves, like Sean and other players, even Clive, way back when, we had no one to guide us in any way, shape, or form. We had to find out on our own, you know. So I can live people's experiences that they go through. The players that are over there now that are playing non-league, they constantly go through rejection of not being at a club for long and going to another club. So I understand what they could be going through as a player. So I rose from the lowest level right up to the Premier League. So everything went up, and up until I got to the Premier League. And then once you get to the top, there's only one way to go after that, and that's back down. But I went through different things while I was out there that helped me as a person. You know, I really found myself because I fell out of love with the game at one point when I moved from Coventry to Stoke. And, you know, I've always been a player that the fans have always enjoyed. And when I went to Stoke, I didn't get along with the fans. And that set me back, you know, for not being in love with the game, but it helped me as a person in the long run. So at the end of my career at Stoke, I was able to hold my head up high. The fans gave me a standing ovation when I left. So that showed that the appreciation that helped me through my moments as a player, but it's made me understand as a coach that not everybody's the same. You know, I treat all players different. Not everybody gets the same treatment from me. You know, that's helped me as a coach.
I'm so glad you enlightened us with that, Kyle, because even my grandson was probably looking at this show, and I'm glad to give us about the facts. And I know you guys are pioneers like yourself who actually went over there by yourselves. Who were there by themselves, yeah.
But I stayed with a couple guys that would not give me a ride to training. We stayed in the same hotel or bed and breakfast place. But you know me as a Bermuda, I say, yeah, that's all right. I'm here for 6 weeks, or when I was on trial, I said, no, I had worked in Bermuda before. You know, I said, I just rented a car for the whole time I was there. And I said, and then they started asking me for a ride.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm gonna get around this.
Yeah.
I was there with Albie Smith, and then when he left before me. I said, yeah, well, I'm renting a car. This is my way of getting around. If not, I had to get up earlier, catch the bus. You know, these guys come across the bus stop laughing at me, and I said, all right, it's okay. You know, but hey, I had tough skin, and I was brought up to PAC, thankfully, that Nibs made it like that for us. You know, he didn't give us anything. We had to work for everything. Like Dennis said, the fitness side of it. And that's one thing that is a difference. Amateur and professional, the fitness is two different things. Two total different beasts.
Yes,
you know?
it is. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
Kyle,
thank
Kelly Wilson was a fitness guy.
Yes, Carl, I do thank you for that. Hey,
Yeah.
Blocker, let me ask you a question. I'm only saying this because, you know, you and Carl, I think Dennis too, cricket and football, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I used to go watch you play cricket also. I was like, this guy plays cricket too? And a good bat too. And a pretty good bat. So, I mean, you never got no time off, did you? What's it like being play cricket, amateur, then play soccer? You guys don't get no breaks. See, the summertime be my breaks. Like, yeah. So what was it like, Blocker?
Well, Punchy, to be honest with you, in Bermuda, after the football season is finished, it's not more to do. It's not more to do.
Right, okay.
And I'm not one of those guys that, okay, well, I'm going to go out every night, go party and drink, and no. So I'm gonna give just a little synopsis how I get into cricket. When I finished playing my first season here in Bermuda, I used to live in Somerset, and I walked down to the Navy field one afternoon. I saw Willacotts training, and I just said to Dexter Basin and Rodney Fabler, could I come and train with your team? They said, Black, you can't play, you're not cricket. This is no lie. This is no lie. Little did they know, I give up cricket for football.
Right.
All my year, come right up. I play both sports. When I reach to the national level, I'm forced to give up cricket, and I never touch a cricket bat for 10 years until I came to Bermuda. So they say, okay, we're training Tuesday. Come, let's have a look at you. I went over the Royal Navy field. They have all Rodney, Vance, all them. So I'm the cut match bowler coming at me. And what they saw that Sunday, I was opening bats for Willacotts.
Wow.
I told you, I knew. I was like,
Serious,
I
yeah.
tell you, when I saw you, I was like, well, you play cricket too? You go cricket. I was like,
I played for Somerset for 2 years too.
right.
Yeah.
That's the same thing like Kyle. No time off. A good cricketer.
I put up the stick and call.
I used to tell his uncle, I mean, really? Your nephew plays football and cricket, and look how quick he is. I think that's probably why he's always fit. You didn't have no time to rest.
Bunch, like a lot of people don't know, like I was like Livingston as well. I was probably technically a better cricketer than a footballer. You know, growing up, I had the opportunity to go with Warwickshire when I was, because I went to Australia. Dean Miners and myself went to Australia to represent the ICC in 1988, right? Youth World Cup. Brian Lara was captain of the West Indies. They had people that would have been over on our age, guys in England like Michael Atherton and Rampacas and Nasser Hussain. They all played for England, and we were playing against these guys for the ICC back then. And that's when I got the opportunity. It's a guy named Trevor Penny who went to Warwickshire. They wanted both of us because as a left arm opening bowler, you know, they wanted both of us. I said, no, I'm going to play football. At that time, I could have had an opportunity to play cricket. And the coach actually said to me, you're crazy. You know, this is one of the biggest cricket teams in the world. I said, I'm not a cricketer, I'm a footballer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
See,
You know,
I told you these stories. A lot of people just don't know this.
yeah, people don't
They
know
don't know
the
this.
history of a lot of people that walk around Bermuda. Bermuda got so much talent that's been around there for years. You know?
Yeah.
But I love cricket. You know, I came back to Bermuda, and I took my football club, and we won some trophies in cricket. So you know, I'm happy with that. Yeah, a lot of guys would say, you don't know nothing about cricket, but when the stumps were coming out of the ground, they were like, hey.
You was playing Weston Honey, man. You was playing Weston Honey. You was playing Weston Honey.
Yeah.
Hey, you name all those big teams, PAT beat them. You name any one of them. Rangers, a big cricket club, right? We beat them in the Benson and Hedges and in the Collie. That's enough for me. Hey, Bayless Bay, we beat them. I had Nero down there stuttering out.
Hey,
They beat St.
usually sports pages are year round, man. All year round, cricket and football. Carl Leiper. All right, blocker. That's like, well, anyway, you guys, I always applaud you. And of anyone who plays two sports. I don't know how you've ever done it, but God bless you all. Seriously.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I
Dennis?
was one of the youngest to represent
sorry.
Bermuda for the ICC.
Oh, okay.
If you look, I looked in that Bermuda ICC thing. My first year, I got like 11, 12 wickets bowling for Bermuda. We went to Holland. That's the year that Argentina won the World Cup. That and I think that was 1990. Was that 1990? I think Argentina won the World Cup.
What, the football World Cup?
Football World Cup.
No, Italy won in
Argentina
90.
that when
No, they won in 86.
86.
Won in
I
86.
was the one in 86.
It was 86 then when I was representing Bermuda
Right.
in Holland playing cricket.
Right.
Yeah.
Arnold Mendes, all those guys were there. I was the youngest on the tour. I was the youngest. You know. Yeah.
Whoa.
I remember them days.
Dennis?
Yeah, Carl, I remember you telling me a story, and it goes back to the fitness thing, the difference between Bermuda and when you went to England. I remember you saying about how Frank always used to lead the pack at PHC before you left, but then after you came back. Tell us about the difference before you went and then after you came back to Bermuda, the fitness level that you encountered in at the pro level.
Yeah, well, when I done my 4 weeks of training in Scarborough, I came back. So PAC, we had started their training. Like Frankie Mean, he was the top runner at PAC. When we used to go up the beach and do the running, Ellie do the laps, Frankie would be close to lapping me, you know, and I would be in middle of the pack. And I thought PAC had some good runners back there, Rango, you know, even Ty Williams, who was the goalkeeper, these guys, Crockle, these guys were able to run. They were runners. Nails, you know, Mike Deal, these guys were able to run. And when I went there for that month and I came back and we done the laps around it, the 6 laps that we used to do, like I ate that hill alive, and it was like night and day. And here it is, I'm getting ready to overlap Frankie. That was the difference in the fitness, you know, because you was able to do it because the fitness. So that's why with our team in the Gold Cup, I knew those guys were fit. So that we were we was able to get so much out of them,
Mm,
you know, and they were able to take their bodies to a different fitness level,
right.
you know, from an amateur to professional level. And once we had them in that space, we were able to perform. And a lot of the performance come down to fitness. A lot of it comes down to fitness.
Well, Donovan, let me ask you, because you came from the Jamaica setup. How did you find your fitness level over the years when you started playing in Bermuda?
To be honest with you, when I came to Bermuda, I was fit, but not on top of my fitness. And I realized very quick that I have to get fitter. Playing against people like Carl, Sammy, I just say the PHC crew, the whole PHC team, you have to be fit to play against PHC.
Yep.
And they make it look real bad, real bad. You know, Somerset the same thing. Them have a little guy named Jay Simon,
Yep.
Yeah.
Chocolate Webb. Hey, guy them was quick and they was fit. Most of the team in Bermuda are fit players. So I have to raise my fitness level to really compete. I did.
Dennis?
Yeah, Blocker. Do you have any recollection of some memorable matches that you played here in Bermuda that would stand out for the rest of your life? What's some memorable matches that you played in in Bermuda?
Okay. Yes, I have a few. I'm gonna tell you, my first game in Bermuda was against Southampton Rangers, and I walked down the step and Ricky Healy come to me and said, Ricky said, Livingston, striker, he played for Bermuda. I was marking Mike Barron.
Yes.
Right? Them say he kicked very hard. No problem. No, me, I just said no problem. Because football players, I beat the football player on the pitch. So I will assess him as thing goes. And I remember they play a ball, try to give him a true pass, I'll leave the middle and get over there. And Frank, that he is a very stocky, strong, big guy. And me and him kind of collide. And I heard a gentleman say, "Oh my God, who is that?" He's a yardie. Rick Richardson. And from that day forward, me and Rick Richardson was like this. I'm telling you. Very close. I'm telling you. After the game, he asked some questions. And he said, "Oh my God, I never see no one hit Mike Barron like that." Very simple. Yes. And also, when I just arrived, I played for Hotels. And a very memorable game to me was the cup final of National Stadium, FA Cup final. Because Sammy was just tearing everybody to pieces. And I said to my coach, I said to Randy, make I mark Sammy the week before. And they said, no, Livy, no, it's okay. Andrew Caldwell, I said, make I mark Sammy. Because I realized at the time Sammy was the man that carried PHC on the back. They didn't. We lost 2-0. The following week was a cup final. Before even training, they said to me, "Livingston, Sammy belongs to you." So thank you. I told Sammy before going to play, I said, "Sammy, you're not even going to get a shot to goal today." And I miss a penalty. I don't know if you remember, Carl. I miss a penalty. Hit the crossbar and the ball drop at the center circle.
I remember.
From the crossbar to the center circle. And the game replayed. And the second game was so it was in the end. So it was in the beginning. So it was in the end. Sammy, I have Sammy substituted. Next season, Sammy come and play for me. Yeah, man, that was a memorable. Those two games stand out in my all the time.
And Killer, what was some memorable games for you in Bermuda before you left?
Memorable games. I would say against Dandytown in our FA Cup game that we ended up going replay out Devonshire Rack. I mean, sorry, not out BA. And we actually lost, but it was such a good final over the two legs. First game was down St. George's, and then the second game was out BA, a night game. That's when Denver Seymour had Dandytown at that time. So we had some good battles with them. But my first real memory when I really, really broke into the PAC team was when we beat St. George's Colts in the Friendship Finals. And believe it or not, I think I only played a half an hour in that match. Kevin Deal was due to start that day. And this is when Neebs got all his faith in me. We played. Kevin came and he said he was sick that night, must have had, some illness. So this was my big chance. And this is when they had Kung Fu. That would be Dean Marnus and Clay Smith. Randy Horton was their coach. Stevie Dickerson. I mean, St. George's had a good team back then. Neil Painter might have been playing for him there if he weren't at Dandytown. But they had a good team. And I think St. George's ran up 1-0 in that match. And I set up a goal and I scored a goal. And then St. George's center half ran me into the fence and I dislocated my shoulder that night. But we won the game 3-2. So that
4-3. 4-3.
Or 4-3?
4-3.
Okay. Well, I know when I left, it was 3-1 PAC.
But by the time you got to the hospital, it was 3-0.
Yeah. So that's a memorable game. But saying Neebs had so much faith in me there, and I had a dislocated shoulder, and within 2 weeks, it was the FA Cup Finals. Neebs was there every day with me. You gonna be all right for that game? I knew I was a starter for PAC there, because Neebs made me wait so long to play, man. But those are two games, and obviously playing against North Village. I always wanted to do well against North Village because of my whole family was North Village. My dad was from North Village, my mom, my uncle, my whole family was North Village. So I remember playing the first, I think it was the first game down North Bernards Park, and ended in a 1-1 draw with PAC and Dandytown. PAC and North Village. That was one of the first games down there. I don't know if it was the very first game, but the first league game for us down there, and for me to score on that day against North Village. So those are the games that stand out for me.
How interesting it is that you would have played one of the first games at Bernard Park, and you'd have played the same two teams would have opened up the PAC Stadium and it reopened.
Yeah.
A lot of history there.
Yes, and gentlemen, as always, when the show is going to go, I always ask the question. Fast forward again. Kyle, the question probably actually, are you been in the national program for the country, Bermuda South? I always said, are we headed in the right direction? Because the reason I'm asking this, maybe you can make a comment on it. The amount of younger guys like my grandson overseas now, would you think that's a real plus for us, or what else do you think the clubs can do here to even get the standard up, get our standards of it? And both you and Blocker can ask that, because the standard at one time was really hard. I'm not saying the standards are a lot worse now, but the standard of the football is here. What do you think we need to do more of, Kyle?
Okay, I'll answer that by saying I think the standard of the league now is not as good. Nowhere as good as it was back then. you know, we had at the beginning of seasons, you didn't know who was going to win the league. You know, you had, if the 10 teams that are playing, 5 teams could win that league. Now it's only 1 or 2 or maybe 3 at the most that's going to have a chance of winning the league. So from that standpoint, I think the league is a lot poor when it comes to so many other distractions when it comes to football and even cricket in Bermuda. It's so much distractions on that side of it. But for the national program, I think we are in the right sort of space. We need to be at our best when we play against the top nations, without a doubt. We can't afford no hiccups in that department. We need our best players. The younger players that are coming through, we got a bunch of them. And my next squad, you're going to see a lot of them in there. You're going to see, I mean, your grandson's one of them who's been on a trip with us. The boy, Birchall, we're looking at bringing him in, getting him involved. The boy that's Levi Tucker, that's at Burnley, we're looking at bringing him in. These are players that are on our radar. We need more defenders in that area that can, younger players that are defenders that like to defend. Like we need a young Livingston, a young Dennis Brown, Cantuan Jennings. Those are the type of players that's going to take us to the next level, because we have the Dante Lavrocks, we have Jalen Bathurst. We need the next crop to push them out.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's what we need in order for us to get to that next curve. I think we're in a good space. It's disappointing, like I said, the Canada game, but when teams play against us, they know that they're in a match. They have to be at their best. You know, one of the most satisfying things for me was after we played against Costa Rica, the Costa Rica coach talked to me for like 20 minutes after that game and gave us so much praise. Like, how could this little country push us like that? You know, and when you tell them your background of where you come from as a player and played at every level in England, it starts to sink in with them. You know, I look at a lot of my guys that are in England now. One of my good friends is the Aston Villa manager. You know, this guy, Dean Smith, we bounce so many ideas off of one another. And for me, I can't go any higher than that as a coach. You know, that's the highest level right there that I'm learning from. You know, and he trusts my opinion. Like the way we play, for us, we sat down, and that's how he started in his coaching journey with the high pressing and the playing out of the back. We sat down together and ran over these things. So, you know, when I'm in England, I spend a lot of time with him, and I miss that because of the pandemic. And I think we're in a good space. I definitely do. You know.
Thank you. I really do.
I see someone sent in that Zeke Harris is a good. You know, he's one that's on our radar. He went to Jamaica. He was unavailable for the last trip, and he's definitely on our radar. You know, to play, and we have some good goalkeepers that are coming through as well. So to push Dale, in order for us to keep improving, I want somebody to take Nicky Wells' place. I want somebody to take Reggie's place. I want somebody to take, you know, Dante Lavrock. That's the way we keep improving as a nation. It has to be someone to take their place. Like, they put in their performances to get them out.
Thank you very much, Kyle. And Blocker, your opinion on Bermuda football compared to Jamaica? I know the size is so much different. Your national program is going to new heights. You've even got one of the best. You got a player playing in Germany now. You got players playing over Europe. Jamaica seems to be football seems to be on the up and up. What do you think more, as with Kyle, about our country and the clubs? What do you think we could do more of?
Punchy, to be honest with you, Bermuda have the talent. Definitely have the talent. As Cole said, you just need what I think the Bermuda footballers them need to do. They need to commit some more. Be committed to play football. That means if you commit to play football, you have to go get your rest for Sunday. Don't.
All right, he's having internet problems.
You got internet problems, yes.
Yeah, Dennis, you want to
The ambition to
trying to come
represent
back.
their country.
Thank you very much, Donovan. Thank you very much for the info. Thank you very much.
You have to
Thank you very much.
represent your country.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Dennis.
Yeah, and to reiterate,
I'm still on.
Yeah. Hold on one sec, Donovan. Hold on.
To reiterate what Donovan said and what Killer said, like the ultimate for any, especially a local amateur player, should be to want to represent your country. So you're going to want to do everything, to sacrifice everything to make sure that you're playing at your optimal level. So that means stop drinking, stop smoking, stop hanging out, putting in your extras and stuff like that. Is our players committed to do that? And I say that, I like the way the national program is going, from the youth all the way up. I think the national team has made some big strides, in the last couple of years. Like everybody else, I'm sure Kyle wasn't happy with the game against Canada, but when I found out what these guys had to go through, I mean, mercy. It boggles me that they actually went onto the pitch. You know what I mean? But I think, and then the next match, I think we rebounded and put 5 in St. Lucia. So that shows us that we're on the right track to go into another level. And with a lot of the guys overseas, that's going to make us even better. With a lot of the young guys, and like Kyle said. But when I got pushed out, it was from Cantwan and Sean Smith, and I had no problem with that. Young guys coming through, that's what we need. We need somebody to push Dante Lavrock, Jaylon, and these guys, and we have a lot of talent. Bermuda has a lot of talent coming through, and if these guys stay humble but hungry, I think we're going to make a lot of noise in the next 5 to 10 years in this region.
Very well. Thank you very much. Because I can just add to that before we off, Kyle. I know as when I was coming on, that's what me and my brothers just all we thought about. If we're good enough, we want to make the national program. Was we strive for that. We train hard, and I didn't make it. I made it once or twice, but it was so much competition out there. I just like, hey, But I worked very hard at trying to. That was my vision. I want to play for the national program. So I do understand exactly what Dennis is saying, and yourself, Kyle, especially for Bermuda footballers and Block, are saying commitment. Commitment.
And the last thing I'm gonna say on that is like a lot of Bermuda players have to be humble, man. If you're not starting, it's just so good to be a part of the national setup. Even at when we went on that World Cup run, like I was surprised. I had never sat on the bench in my life. But the first time I sat on the bench was at that World Cup qualifying. But at the end of the day, I was so glad to be a part of that experience. So a lot of our players have to humble themselves and just be ready. So when Kyle calls upon you, if you're on the bench, you're ready to go on the pitch. You know what I mean? But too many people think and Kyle has a hard job. You only could pick 11. So 12 to 18 or 12 to 22, you humble yourself and just be ready to come on the pitch when the coach calls upon you. You know what I mean? And that's it, man. We got a good future ahead of us if our players stay humble but hungry for success personally and for the country. We're in a good space, I think.
Yeah.
Very well. Very well.
What a way to end. What a way to end. I want to say thank you very much to both Kyle and Donovan, because you guys have made the night go by so fast, and
So
just some of the reminiscent and the
Yes.
things that a lot of people would have not known about you two individuals. Donovan, when you were talking about the fact that you shared the same pitch as Pelé, would have raised a lot of eyebrows in this country, as yet another person who resides here would have played with, if not the greatest man that ever played this game. Just to know that you were in his space at some point in time. We have players that actually played with him as well. So, yeah. Guys, thank you very much. Enjoy your night.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much,
I
guys.
enjoyed it.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you very much, guys.
Yes.